Hi everyone and welcome to the AFTV Starting 11 show. My name is Laurie, I'm your host and I'm joined by my boy Jack in the building.
How are you today? Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Not the two that that we thought we were going to be, but
yeah, not quite. It seems like the injury and sickness thing is prevailing right through the whole Arsenal stratosphere. But listen, we're here. We're ready to talk. There's lots to talk about. Arsenal taking on Leicester today. They've just come back from their, was it warm weather training break?
Yeah, the the bit that was meant to relax everyone and give them a break and no more injuries, get everyone recuperated.
That's it. It was supposed to be rest, recuperation and rejuvenation. Instead of that, all we heard was injury. But yeah, your quick thoughts on the Havertz situation, because I know those of you who don't know Jack, I'm sure many of you do, but you will know if you know Jack that he's a big advocate of Kai Havertz.
You don't want to see the back of the shirt.
What you got? Yeah, right.
Yeah. So it's just so unlucky. Do you know what? I genuinely think the board in January looked at it and just said they were going to gamble. Like Arteta said it himself. Like, I looked the other day, he's missed more games through COVID and the flu than he has actually injured in his whole career, and he's like 25. So I think they just gambled on it. He's just being really robust. But I mean, look, it's just our luck. I think they were saying it was a set piece drill. He went to block a shot and completely tore his hamstring. And I mean, if you're out till next season, that's not a hamstring pull. That's like off the bone. That's a
yeah.
That's
I was chatting to a couple of people who play football at a reasonable level, and they said it sounds like a really bad one. Requires surgery, so he's out for the rest of the season, which is a big blow. Because listen, whatever you say about Havertz, and I have been critical of him at times, although not as much as some people, I have to say. But he does bring a lot to the team in terms of he holds the ball up well. You can't question his work ethic, and no small thing to note, he is our top scorer. 9 goals in the Premier League this season. I think he's got 15 overall. And his workload has been quite significant. I think he's played something like 34 games. Yeah, or has played.
He started pretty much every game, because even when we have brought Jesus in, Arteta then tends to drop him into midfield. So he pretty much is playing 90 minutes after 90 minutes. And even you look at Girona, the chance that we thought, I think it was Wolves before, wasn't it? Where you saw the footage of him at the end collapse to the floor, completely dead. And then he goes and gives him 20 minutes off the bench in Girona. It's like, please just don't even take him on the plane, just let him rest. But obviously
it's very disappointing. Of course, Arsenal down to bare bones, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But just your thoughts on today's game, though, Leicester.
Is probably, given the situation, it's one of the games that you go into and be like, okay, we're struggling, but at least, hopefully, of all the fixtures you could have picked, it's one we should get through. I mean, look, the defence is fine, the midfield's fine. And the front line, I think there's a lot of people talking about how bad it might be, but if you're going back to Girona, we played Sterling on the left. It was probably the best game I think I've seen from him, bar that penalty miss at the end, which we won't talk about. Trossard played through the middle and was okay, and Wanyeri got man of the match off the right-hand side. So the front three that we are talking about, it might be, is we've seen it before, and I think we're actually quite good in that game.
Yeah, I would agree. And you're also right in terms of the Premier League of the game today. Leicester, I mean, no disrespect, but Arsenal should be expected to beat Leicester fairly comfortably, I would have said. Because Leicester, let's be honest, have been quite poor. What are they, third from bottom? I think they've conceded the second most goals and scored the second least amount of goals. They're not very good side, if I'm being honest.
No, and we're talking about the striker options. For those that can't see it, I'm going to try and point there. If you type in the chat the people that you want to start in your front three, it should automatically add itself to the poll below. So we've got Trossard, Sterling, Mikel Moreno and Ethan Wanyeri. So not a lot to pick from. They're basically giving you 3 options to tick the boxes and then said tick 3. So we've got 3 attackers to pick 3 from, and we've just lobbed Moreno in there.
I mean, normally when we do starting 11s, we start from the obvious. We go from the goalkeeper and work up. Do you want to start? Because that's what everybody will be talking about today. I mean, the rest of the team kind of picks itself.
I think we'll unanimously agree on the rest of the team.
Yeah,
so we might.
The rest
of
the team
jump.
kind of picks itself. Although we will discuss that as well. But I think we need to give a special mention to the front 3. No disrespect, but I can't see Mourinho getting that shout. So for me, anyway, it's down to Wanyeri, Sterling, and Trossard. And what everyone wants to know, or where everyone's talking about, is who's playing through the middle. Jack, I'm going to let you go first, because I've got some thoughts on it as well.
I'm sticking with Girona. I think it worked well. I like Trossard through the middle. I don't think he's necessarily the quickest. He's 2-footed. He's a good finisher, so I don't mind him through the middle. I think Nwaneri was seeing the best of him off the right. Sterling, his best game, which is a push, but still his best game was off that left-hand side. So I think don't try and change the whole system, throw new formations out here. I think stick to as close to what we know as we possibly can, and then if that doesn't work, then let's try throwing Saliba, Calafiori, Tierney, Gabriel.
God forbid any of the front three get injured today, because knowing our luck, it would be just that. But listen, I'm going to go slightly different. It's a little bit maverick, but let me know what you think. I'm going to go Trossard on the right, Sterling on the left. I'm going to go Nwaneri through the middle. As I said, it's a bit maverick, but I'll tell you why I've gone that way. Because to me, Nwaneri, at the moment anyway, he's the most exciting player in the team. What I like about him is that he's fearless, he's direct, he likes to shoot, he looks like he likes scoring goals, and I think he would relish the opportunity. I mean, I know he's very young. Some would say it's too much responsibility to expect him to hold the ball up and do all the other stuff. But I actually think that he could cause Leicester a few problems through the middle. He's very explosive over the first 10, 15, 20 yards. And I think, I'd like to see him throw it in the mix. You know what I mean? Do something a little bit different, catch Leicester off guard a little bit.
Arteta said it a few times, hasn't he, that he's just really got an eye for goal. He's a nice finisher. So I think that is something that I don't think he'd be like a 9 the way that you typically see a 9, but definitely someone that can drop deep. He wants the ball to feet. He wants to take on his man and get a shot off. So, look, I would like to stick with the more proven, but I wouldn't be against it, especially if they do. You know, we see it with when Trossard does play through the middle with Martinelli on the left, quite often they'll sort of switch and one of them will do a wing shift and then drop in the 9. So I'm all for it. Keep it fluid, keep them guessing.
Yeah. But like I said, he offered you something a little bit different. And I did a little bit of research. He has played up front, albeit for the academy. Very different type of level. But,
looking at the poll, 37% of people look like they want Miguel Moreno to start. So I don't know whether... I'm hoping people aren't being serious. Not everyone's entitled to your own opinion, but please let's not put Moreno as one of the...
It's interesting because Miguel Moreno has kind of gone from that player that a lot of people were starting to question as to whether he should be in the setup at all, to now people are advocating that he'd be starting up front for Arsenal. It's weird how things work out.
Well, Moreno's got over triple the votes of Raheem Sterling to start in the front three, so I don't know whether that speaks more about how much people are warming to Moreno or how much they're not warming to Sterling.
Yeah, well, it's been a difficult period for Raheem Sterling. I mean, he came to the club. There was a few naysayers. I remember Turkish and 1 or 2 other people. They were quite disappointed at that loan signing. And I was one of those that was advocating for Sterling, saying, look, I think he could do a job. Obviously, things weren't going right for him at Chelsea. And, there was a school of thought to suggest that he may seize this opportunity, because sometimes when you're out the picture at your home club and you get an opportunity, people saying he might take it. Unfortunately, so far, I mean, there's still a few, there's 14 league games to go. He's not taken his chance yet, but it may happen for him. Let's hope that him getting more game time, because he's not had a lot of game time. Let's hope that him getting more game time will improve his performances. Yeah,
I think the most disappointing thing for me with Sterling is obviously he went to Chelsea as the big money signing, and he was meant to be like, I'm the experienced one, I'm the big money, I'm the guy. Like, I'll help teach the younger players for a little bit, and then they'll come through. And Palmer pretty much just came in and just like, I'm taking pens, I'm taking free kicks. Like, Palmer would have been in the Man City Academy looking up to Raheem Sterling as this idol, came in and pretty much took his place within a couple of weeks. And now he's come to Arsenal. Again, I'll be the experienced one, help out here and there. And now he's got Nwaneri pretty much being like, well, I'm ahead of you now. Like, you're trying to be my mentor, but you're missing a pen against Girona and I'm patting you on the head and saying, don't worry, mate. That should be the other way around.
There was an interesting scene at the end of the last game they played, where Nwaneri, you're quite right, he seemed to be consoling Sterling. And you look at that, you think, that really should be the other way around. Sterling should be the mentor, consoling and giving advice to Nwaneri. And here's Nwaneri doing that to Sterling. Do you think he's finished, or do you think it's a confidence thing? He's just not in a good moment right now?
I think confidence is low, but I do think he's coming to the end. I think people forget, obviously, what is he, 30 now?
Yeah, something like 30,
but he was playing like 30 game seasons at 17, 18. Like, he was running up and down Anfield as a teenager, so his body in terms of wear, like, you remember what happened to Theo Walcott?
Yeah.
We sold Walcott to Everton when he was like 27, but he was not the Walcott we knew. Like, his body was declining. I think it's the same thing with Sterling. Like, he is only 30, but the amount of minutes he's put in his legs, especially as a winger, someone that's quite explosive, I just think he's worn.
No, you're so right about that. And interestingly, I can remember watching a very young Raheem Sterling He must have been about 17, 18 at the time. He played up front for Liverpool against Arsenal. I was at that game. And I must admit, he gave Mertesacker, who was a central defender at the time, he gave him the runaround. And I was thinking, wow, this little kid, man, there's something about him. And here we are now, years later, and we're talking about him possibly declining.
It's got to be what, 11, 12 years later as well. He's been around for a long time at Sterling. He's done it at the highest level, but look, to do it week in, week out, you're looking at 50-game seasons as well when you're playing for cities and that sort. It's just... It takes its toll.
It does. Although, if you're in the Sterling camp, I'm pretty sure that they will say, look, yes, things have not gone well, but he's not had the opportunities that he would have liked. I guess the one positive from our current injury crisis is that the likes of Sterling will now be given an opportunity to show what they've got. So there will be no excuses come the end of the season. He would have got enough games to show what he's got. So let's hope he can take it. Trossard, now... Previously, when he's played through the middle, I mean, there is that school of thought to say he's the best finisher at the club. Some people say that. I wouldn't necessarily disagree with that. But when he's played through the middle, I've got to say I've not been overly impressed with his performances. What do you say to that?
Do you know what? I think with Trossard, he gets this sort of like main character syndrome, and it's not a criticism because you need it to be a good forward, but he gets that sort of like, I'm just going to shoot when I get the ball. Like, I'm the guy. I think if he can, now that he has to be the striker, I think he might calm down. Like, we saw it 2 seasons ago when Nketiah came in, when Jesus got injured at the World Cup, played a few games, and in the end it was Trossard that started playing the 9. We took Nketiah out, and I think Trossard looked really good. So looking through the chat, there's been a few come through. The Pundit 99. If anyone sends any super chats, by the way, we've got them here to read them out. But he says Arteta just doesn't try new things. He'll do Sterling, Trossard, Ranieri. Is that a criticism for you, or is that a...
Well, I mean, he's got no choice at the moment.
But would you rather you sort of throw something out there, like you were saying, Ranieri through the middle?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'd like to see him go a bit left field with it, put Ranieri through. Whether he'll do that, though, I'm not so sure. I think he'll go with Trossard. Trossard is the senior player.
It's 15:15, so as far as I'm aware, the lineup should be dropping pretty much any minute. So I'm just going to keep refreshing the Arsenal page and see what comes up. But when it does come out, we'll get it straight to you. But you're saying, so we're agreeing on the team, what we want to see, but you're saying you prefer Ranieri through the middle, Trossard on the left. I'm saying Trossard through the middle, Ranieri right, Sterling left.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I've got no complaints with what you said.
Here we go. Team is out, if you want to read it out.
Right, team is out. Right, here we go. So, let's start with the usual from, back to front rather than front to back, which is what we're discussing. So anyway, you've got Raya in goal, a back four of Timber, Saliba, Gabriel and Lewis Skelly. So still no Calafiori. Midfield trio of Partey, Rice and Odegaard, which was to be expected. And up front, we got Ranieri, Sterling and Trossard through the middle.
Yeah, the way they've written it, it looks like Trossard through the middle. So pretty much what we're all expecting. No experiments. And then as for the bench, it's a lot of left backs, I'll be honest. It's a lot of defenders. So we've got Neto, Ben White's back. That's nice.
Yeah, that is good news.
Kivior, Calafiori, Zinchenko, Kieran Tierney, who may now be a left winger, if you want to class him as a forward, Jorginho, Moreno and Butler-Adeji. So no Cabia or the other youngsters. He's pretty much just stacked it with the first teamers that were around.
Yeah.
So look, if Ranieri does get injured, I don't even want to say it, just in case it does happen, or any of our forwards, we are then relying on Mika Moreno, Tierney on the wing, or Butler-Adeji.
Just picking up on something you just said there with injuries and that, do you think that the players will be in the back of their minds? I guess it must be, surely, especially the forward players, are thinking that. Do you think it will affect the way they approach the game? I mean, they would never outwardly admit that. But do you think in the back of their mind they might be thinking, if there's a ball there, 50-50, they might be thinking, should I go in for it? Because another injury, I mean, we're in crisis already. Another injury would be absolutely catastrophic.
Yeah, I genuinely think it's a bigger thing than Arsenal. Like the amount of hamstring injuries we're seeing. Like we saw one the other day, someone went down. Was it Madueke came off last night for Chelsea with a hamstring injury? We've got Saka out, we've got Havertz out, Martinelli out of hamstrings. Van de Ven at Spurs has been in and out of the team with hamstring injuries for ages. I think Joe Gomez for Liverpool came on and did his hamstring. Do you think that's people are overplaying? There's just too many games now. I think Carragher said on commentary the other day that with how long these VAR calls are taking, people are they're seizing up. They're standing there for like 3 minutes.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I think they were saying was it the Haaland goal against Real Madrid? They were stood still for 4 minutes season up.
Almost have to warm up again before they start playing.
Do you think there is anything in the fact that there's so many hamstring injuries? Do you think it's just luck, or is it?
No, you know what? I'm starting to think that there is definitely a causal link between the amount of football, and you've got to factor into that the nature of the Premier League. It's very dynamic, it's very explosive, especially in certain positions. You're being asked to constantly sprint up and down the pitch. And, I think injuries are inevitable consequence, and especially the hamstring stuff. There has to be a causal link, doesn't it? I mean, we all know that sprinting, sudden stopping sprinting and stuff like that are actions that will trigger hamstring injuries or hamstring issues. So, yeah. A lot of sprinters get hamstring injuries.
Yeah, and it's up and down the divisions. I think Rodri said at the start of the season, didn't he? Like, we're playing so much. Like, you're looking at international tournament in the summer, straight back into the Premier League. Carabao Cup comes in sort of 3 games in. FA Cup, Champions League, there's now 2 extra games in the group stages and a playoff. Club World Cups come in for some teams, so there's so much football these days. But I mean, as much as it is a privileged position to be a pro footballer and you can't turn down playing football, there's got to be a limit somewhere.
Absolutely,
surely.
Yeah. I mean, people always counter it by saying, they get paid X amount of money per week. But at the end of the day, they're still human beings. And then the other thing is, you're being asked to perform at high levels without too much time in between games. You know what I mean? A lot of the clubs, top clubs, play twice a week. Every week. There's
a few people in the chat talking about Arteta as well. Do you put any blame on this injury crisis on him? Are you looking at the board for not doing stuff in January? You're looking at Arteta for maybe overpaying players?
I think that is a very good question, and it's something that I've discussed with people on the channel quite a bit. You know what? I would find it totally incongruous that a manager like Mikel Arteta wouldn't have pushed for a striking option, especially in January. And we should have signed a striker or a forward worthy of the note at the start of the season. We didn't do that. I thought that was remiss of the club not to do that. To not get somebody in January was almost... It's incompetence bordering on negligence for me.
Yeah, see,
I can't imagine that the manager would have been on board with that. In fact, I'm sure I saw a quote where he said he was disappointed.
Yeah.
So for him to say that is as much as he could say probably without throwing the owners under the bus. So yeah, I'm thinking it's the board.
You see, I'm okay with the not spending 60 million on Watkins, because it's 60 million on a 29-year-old who's going to have 3-4 years out of him, no resale value, and it probably means you have to abandon your summer plans of a Sesko or whoever you want. So I'm okay with not throwing 60 million on a striker that you don't really want and abandoning some of the summer plans. What I'm not okay with is not just getting a body. You know, Kolo Muani's now at Juventus. He's scoring pretty much every game. I don't think there's an obligation in that. That's just a loan. You got Tell's gone to Spurs. We thought it was a loan. I think it's got an option to buy. So it's an option. You don't have to buy him. You don't have to pay the money. So there was bodies out there who are good enough to come in and make an impact that we just didn't do. So not splashing the cash, fine. Preserve your summer plans. If you've got your plans already, how much you're going to spend, who you want to bring in, fine. But you can't not bring in a body when there was loans out there.
Absolutely. You know what? I do agree with pretty much everything you said there. However, I would disagree with the Ollie Watkins situation. I'll tell you why. Because Ollie Watkins, I think what was valued at 60. Arsenal went in with an introductory offer of 40. And it would appear that when that introductory offer was turned down, as Arsenal would have been expecting, they never went back. So they never pursued it. I would have liked to have seen the club being a bit more aggressive, or a bit more, let's try and see what we can work out here. Because let's face it, we were in desperate need. And what you were saying there about paying 60 mil for a 29-year-old, that kind of comes into the category of a business decision rather than a football decision. Because the business decision is there's no resale on buying a 29-year-old for 60 mil, especially when we're going to be pursuing bigger targets in the summer. I get that. But the football decision was, we need a striker, we're desperate. What happens if somebody gets injured, which is exactly what happened. So it was a clear case of the business decision overriding the football decision. And I think at Arsenal over the years, there's been too many what I call business decisions taking precedent over football. At the end of the day, we need to win something. We're still in 2 competitions, although, the Premier League is looking slightly forlorn. But, we're still in 2 competitions. I think it was incumbent upon the club to bring in a striker. They didn't do it, and I was very disappointed.
There's some people in the chat as well, I'm noticing, saying that the lineup is out. We did go through it when it came out at 15:15. If you didn't see our initial reaction to the lineup coming out, if you go back, what would it be? Sort of 7-8 minutes. We did go through it, but yeah, there's a few people just talking about. You can see the team on screen. Yeah, missing a player in the lineup. I know we have injuries, but yeah, look, I think the team. It's good enough. I think there's a lot of people like the depth isn't there, right? If we get an injury, we are in serious trouble. But this team should get the job done, right? But
yeah. I mean, as we said before, we're trying not to sound a disrespectful note, but we could have had more stiffer challenges today.
Yeah, if this was United away or Chelsea or Forest that we've got to come, there'll definitely be more of a panic. But for now, I mean, another thing people have been saying on Twitter a lot, I think we've got a week if we sign a free agent to register them. So I'm going to throw some names at you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yaya Sanogo, yes or no?
Hell no.
Carlos Vela, yes or no?
Hell no.
Lucas Perez, yes or no?
Hell no.
Did you watch Henri last night in the charity match?
He would probably have been a better option than the first reason.
So none of them 4 are appealing to you. And then we're looking at Diego Costa.
Diego Costa would have been an interesting one just to get people wound up. I mean, he did. Was his last appearance in the Premier League for Wolves? I think he got like 1 goal, wasn't it? A few years back.
Yeah, I think he came on a short-term deal. Yeah, I think he got 1 red card, 1 goal, and then went back to Botafogo, I think, or somewhere in Brazil. So
he's and since then he's several years older, and I would imagine quite a few pounds heavier as well. So I don't think that's going to work. No, and I can't see Mikel Arteta going down that route.
No, I mean, look, they're free agents, but they'll want wages. So business decision. It'd be hard to justify not getting someone on loan for a business decision and then lobbing wages at a free agent who obviously want a little bit more. So
I mean, that just smacks of total desperation. So. We've got a super chat.
Yeah, Gary Rickwood sends a super chat in saying, team on screen, only 10 players, are we that bad? So production, I think there might be, the injury crisis might have taken its toll on everyone. It's taken a toll on us because we're not Turkish. It's taken a toll on the lineup.
It's injury season. It's injury season. But yeah, going back to what you said, the one thing I would say about Leicester though is that they are at home. Mm-hmm. They are fighting for their lives, metaphorically speaking. And I've got to admit, I watched their cup game against Man United, and I thought they were unfortunate not to get, not to take it to extra time, because I thought that they played well against Manchester United. Yeah,
and I've just grabbed their lineup up, and I'm seeing Jamie Vardy. I had a small hope he was injured, but even, what is he now, 38?
Yeah, something
like that.
Yeah.
I think the most goals in Jamie Vardy's career have come against Arsenal. We're the team he scores against most, so... Look, he's one of them.
I think, he's got 11 goals against us.
Which is crazy. So they're pretty much as you'd expect. It's Hamadsson's back in goal, the guy that had that worldie against at the Emirates. Yeah. Justin Okoli.
He scored that worldie, didn't he?
2.
Justin. Yeah, he scored 2 goals.
Okoli's the guy that made that goal line clearance against United. The one he kicked outside the crossbar. Yeah. Wout Faes, Christensen, Samare, and Ndidi's back. El Kanut is a nice player.
Yeah, he looks decent.
Ayew, Decordova-Reid, and Vardy.
Ayew is interesting because he's one of those guys that...
He's a manager's dream, isn't he?
Yeah, he doesn't light the Premiership up, but he's a hard worker. He does his job. And he does tend to play quite well against Arsenal. I remember when he was playing for...
Palace,
I was at that game, and he gave, I think, who was it at the time? It would have been, he's out injured now. The Japanese guy.
Tomiyasu.
He gave Tomiyasu a bit of a runaround in that game.
Ironically, their bench might actually be stronger than ours. I'm seeing Mavididi, Daka, Buonanotte, Skip, Winks, Vestergaard, Cody, Koulibaly, Stolasic. It's not bad, but look, with the greatest of respect to Leicester, I think we'll both, if we did a score prediction, I would say 2-0 Arsenal. Look,
I went for 2-0.
Yeah, our attack's not great, but the defence is fine. Yeah. So hopefully not too many problems.
And who knows, we might get a couple of goals from midfield. I mean, there are guys there that can score goals. Or in fact, all of that midfield can score goals. We've seen Partey score, we've seen Rice score, seen Odegaard score goals. We need to see more from. Actually, maybe Odegaard might start banging a few in now. There's a bit more responsibility on him now.
Here's one for you as well. Rocky Horror sends his first ever super chat in, and he says, Pogba on a free, he's back at the end of March. Look, it's not the craziest shout.
He will get a club, but I don't think it'll be Arsenal.
Anonymous sends one in as well, saying, I think Zinchenko will be our cover left wing. See, I prefer the thought of Tierney left wing, just whipping crosses in like he used to do for Aubameyang, and then having maybe, I want to see Zinchenko set in the mid at some point. I know we haven't got an injury crisis in midfield, but I'm not against trying him somewhere else, because I think, look, you're looking at Lewis Skelly now and Calafiori. I think that left back position is pretty much locked off for Zinchenko, so you might as well try something.
Doesn't look like there's much way back for Zinchenko.
I'm surprised he didn't leave in January. There's so much talk for Dortmund, wasn't there? And it just never happened.
He was linked with a few clubs, but Dortmund. Kivior as well. He was linked with a few moves away. That didn't materialise. Just on that left back situation, Miles Lewis Skelly currently keeping Calafiori out. A big money signing for Arsenal. That seems a little bit.
It reminds me
strange.
A little bit, not completely, but Pepe, 72 million, was meant to be the guy that we persist with. He drops out the team for, I think he got a red card against Leeds, didn't he? For headbutting someone stupidly, and then missed 3 games. Saka comes in at right wing, and you just, there you go.
That's it.
Sorry, 72 million pound winger. Look, we've got a new guy, and it seems Calafiori, he's had his troubles, and look, I think Calafiori will still be a massive part of Arsenal going forwards, but he's probably going to be given a run for his money at left back more than he maybe thought.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing with football, isn't it? There should be a meritocracy in terms of, if for whatever reason a player has lost form, injured, and somebody else comes in and they, play well, they deserve to keep their place.
Oh, 100%.
So, and it's always good from the club's point of view to have people challenging for positions in the team. That's how you get the optimum out of the team. So, yeah, Miles Lewis Skelly, credit to him. He's coming, he's looking really good. And we have to remember as well, left back is not his natural position.
He was an 8 all the way through the academy. I think a lot of people were saying, I know people that watch the academy a lot more than we do, said that Wanyeri played a lot as like a second striker in the academy. So look, your shout of him being a 9 might not be the end. There's a lot of positivity in the chat as well. Charlie Farley saying this is still a quality team. The options just weren't there in the window. I'm excited to see Wanyeri get his chance. Trossard's a great finisher. Come on, you Gunners. So lots of positivity. So look.
Yeah, I mean, when we first heard about the injury, there was total doom and gloom. Everyone saying, season over, But that's a kind of natural reaction to getting bad news, isn't it? Everyone says, oh, no. Like, what was the worst thing that could have happened? Somebody gets injured in Dubai, and it's exactly what happened. So the natural reaction was to be despondent. Yeah. However, as what happens in life, time is a healer. And so here we are now on the verge of this game, and there is a degree of optimism. In fact, I would go as far as to say I'm actually quite looking forward to see how the front three get on today, because there's been so much been said about it. You never know. Sometimes in football, you're forced into making decisions, and it works. It clicks.
And it's we're going to have to change the way we play as well, which I think a lot of people might be happy with. We've seen for so long this sort of let's get the ball out wide, shift it to Odegaard, dink it into the back post, and hope that Havertz can sort of crash the box. But now if we are playing Trossard, Wanyeri, Sterling, hopefully a little bit more intricate football, bring the Arsenal back that we all grew up loving. And I don't know if Sterling's got Wenger ball in him, but
how do you think Sterling will be? I'm sure he'll be pumped, won't he? He'll be like rearing to go. Or do you think there'll be a little bit of pressure on him where he might think, well, now I'm got to start? And like I said, so what, we got 14 Premier League games left. We've got at least 2 games left in the Champions League. There's a lot of football for him now. So
yeah, it makes me slightly more annoyed that we did give him that sympathy penalty in Girona, because I actually thought he played really well, and we've just shot his confidence in the last minute. But look, we'll see. We'll see when we're back for the watch along how he gets on. So
yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
There'll be reinforcements. We've got a few back from injury for the watch along.
Yeah, well, that's good. Welcome on board. But listen, thanks everybody for tuning in to the Starting 11 show. You've heard the team. Jack, if you want to go through the team once more. Or?
Yeah, so I'll try and I'll go from memory. We'll go. So we've got Raya in goal, Timber at right back, Saliba, Gabriel centre backs, and Lewis Skelly keeps his place at left back. Partey, Rice, Odegaard, as we'd have expected. And it looks like from the way they've put the team out, it's going to be Wanyeri on the right, Sterling on the left, Trossard through the middle, and Ben White back on the bench.
Yeah, that's good news. But anyway, thanks, Jack. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Thanks for everybody who submitted comments and super chats. We look forward to you joining us when we have our watch-along show. What time are we going back? 12:15, I think it is. It'll be myself, Jack, Marty, and 1 or 2 others that we've got Turkish coming in. So, yeah, it's going to be a very good game, I'm sure. Very interesting. Look forward to you joining us, and we'll see you at 12:15. Take care.